feeling aimless is not bad. Give me some time on this. You're going to understand it. I know, because you probably clicked on the video because you said, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm going. I'm feeling a little aimless. And I've been that way all of my life. That's a good thing. It means that you haven't gotten to that place yet of understanding who you are. That means that you haven't discovered your life purpose. That means you haven't gotten to that place of uncovering that authentic self that you're meant to become, because we all have that. So when we don't have that one place, we feel aimless. But that's not bad, because that means you just haven't gotten there yet. It's the journey of self-discovery. It's the journey of self-empowerment. Every single human goes through it. Sometimes when we feel like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be, we start to judge ourselves for that, instead of understanding our life path is just on a little different trajectory. It just hasn't shown up yet, because it's always there. Then we will do things to help us get to that place. And this is what I've been doing all of my life, and so I've seen it. And you can think about any particular thing you might have done, a course or a training, or maybe you worked with a mentor or whatever it was. And so what is going on continually is that they are having you change your thinking to discover yourself. See, we all do it. No one's born into the world as this child and said, yes, this is who I'm supposed to be. It's usually a journey. Now, there are exceptions to that. There are certain people who come in and from a very young age, they have a clear sense of who they're meant to become. They just know. And think of this, there are people who can be considered prodigies, for instance, and they just come in with this talent and they know this is what they're meant to do. The rest of us, most of us, it's this journey that we're taking. And sometimes it gets a little screwy. We can take all different sorts of paths that may not feel right for us, and then we feel, I'm being aimless, I'm just not getting there. Doesn't matter. And there's so many stories that you could discover. And if you study people who have created great works, many times they didn't find that until later in their lives, because they were just working on it. There was so many people that I've just recently seen who just didn't start doing things. Martha Stewart, for instance, she didn't start creating her great empire, really the big one, until she was like 50. She was on a journey of discovering. So people might have looked at her at some point and thought, you're just going through your life aimlessly. A lot of us do that. But when you understand that you're doing that just because you haven't found your authentic self, you haven't found your right path, because it's there, then you decide to go on a journey of self-discovery. And I will say that that is one that everyone doesn't like doing. You can think of, Carl Jung talked about this. He says the biggest difficulty most people have is looking at themselves. And then when they don't do that, then you feel aimless, because you have no clue as to who you're meant to become. Every simple formula that you've used in your life to understand something more has gone on in a process. Again, we can think about it when we were in school. There were certain levels that we would come to understand, certain grades or whatever it might have been. It's always a progression. That progression occurs in our lives, and it occurs in our consciousness. And we are the ones who must take those steps to say, okay, what's next for me? You may get into a career, you may have a great vocation, you may have all of that, and then one day you start to change. And no one understands why you're doing this, but you're being guided to access another part of yourself. So it's not about judging yourself that all of a sudden you're making this huge change, and others might judge you as being, oh, this aimless person doesn't know who they want to be. That's a good thing, because that means that you're willing to explore and develop more of your potential. We are all unlimited. We have so much potential, but it only develops and materializes as we do active things to cause that to happen. And when you get into studying how our brains work, neuroscience, because this is how we live and experience everything, you'll see that it's a process. And that process sometimes can be programmed in different ways that doesn't allow us to really understand our unique life path. But then you go on this journey, and then you start to find it. And magical things happen on that journey when you don't become afraid of who you are, when you keep taking the steps into countering combating, getting over that feeling of being aimless, because it's just a temporary place that you're in. That's all. Because eventually you'll make those steps and find that right career, vocation, relationship. It's all the same thing. Because that happens when you start to own yourself, and that's the steps that every human goes through to live a really great life, and everyone deserves to have that. Just give yourself a little bit of a break, but I want you to shift your perceptions also, because many times when we feel like, oh, I haven't gotten to that right place, then we start to judge ourselves, because other people around us may be looking at us and go, why hasn't this person gotten to where they're supposed to be? Please let go of that and just decide that you're going to work on you with the awareness that you've only been aimless because you have yet to discover who you're meant to be, your authentic self, and it's in there. Please have faith and trust in that. I know that you will find it. We have something called Life Made Simple, where I give you just some simple tips every day where you start to continually change your brain to understand who you are and accept more of yourself.